The restaurant went silent the moment she walked in. The soft clinking of cutlery faded, and even the air seemed to pause. At the far table, a man in a white shirt lifted his eyes, slowly, almost reluctantly, while three boys in matching blue jackets whispered behind him. They thought they were being funny. They thought this whole setup would be a joke. But they had no idea they were about to witness a moment that none of them would ever forget. If you believe in kindness, dignity, and second chances, please like this video, drop a comment, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to the channel. Your support truly keeps stories like this alive. Her name was Lena. She stood there in a simple, fitted beige dress that hugged her curves, her fingers wrapped tightly around a small handbag like she was bracing herself for impact. She had been plus-size all her life, called names she pretended not to hear, judged by eyes that didn't know her heart, mocked for simply existing in a world obsessed with perfection. It had taken her weeks of courage just to say yes to this blind date. She believed maybe, just maybe, someone would finally look at her for who she was. But as she saw those boys smirking, discreetly raising their phones, her heart sank instantly. This wasn't a date. This was entertainment for them. And the men sitting at the table. Adrian, a single father in his early 30s. His life was a quiet storm of exhaustion and responsibility. He had lost his wife 3 years ago and had been raising his little son, Noah, alone. Since her passing, he had shut the world out, protecting Noah from pain and protecting himself from disappointment. His friends had begged him to start living again, insisting he deserved happiness. So, without telling him who they picked, they scheduled a blind date to push him into the world of love again. But the moment Lena walked in, the boy's expression told Adrian exactly what this setup was supposed to be. A prank. A joke. A cruel laugh at someone else's expense. He looked at Lena again, really looked, and saw the fear in her eyes. Not fear of him, but fear of being humiliated. She stood there frozen, torn between walking toward him and running out the door. She had prepared for this day with so much hope, but the weight of every insult she'd ever heard suddenly fell on her shoulders again. Adrian felt something stir inside him, anger, yes, but also recognition. He knew what it felt like to be judged unfairly, to be pitted, to be the subject of whispers. He remembered how people used to stare at him in the grocery store, alone with a baby in his arms, wondering if he was coping, wondering if he was enough. He saw that same ache in Lena. And in that moment, everything changed. He stood up slowly. Not out of obligation. Not out of politeness. But out of respect, respect she wasn't used to receiving. The entire restaurant watched as Lena finally took a hesitant step forward. Her hands trembled slightly. She expected rejection. She expected him to laugh or sit back or shake his head. She expected the same world she had always known. But Adrian pulled out her chair with the gentleness of a man who understood what brokenness felt like. He asked her to sit. He smiled. A real, warm, human smile, something she hadn't seen directed at her in far too long. The boys at the back lowered their phones, confused. This wasn't the reaction they predicted. But Adrian had no intention of letting their childish cruelty ruin the dignity of the woman in front of him. As the minutes passed, the restaurant atmosphere softened again. Adrian listened to Lena as she spoke, slowly at first, guarded, unsure. She told him about her job at the community library, how she spent weekends reading to children, how she loved baking even though she always felt too shy to share her creations with anyone. She admitted she almost didn't come, terrified this would be another moment that reminded her she wasn't good enough. Adrian sat there quietly, absorbing every word, seeing the kindness she carried in her smile and the sincerity in her heart. She wasn't the type to fake anything. She was real, painfully, beautifully real. He told her about Noah, about losing his wife, about how he struggled every day to balance everything while pretending to be strong. He confessed he didn't think anyone would ever want to take on his complicated life. But Lena didn't flinch. Instead, her eyes softened with an empathy that only someone familiar with emotional battles could understand. She didn't look at him like he was broken. She looked at him like he was human. At one point, Lena dropped her napkin. When she bent to pick it up, she caught sight of the boys behind Adrian again. Their guilt was starting to show. The prank no longer felt funny to them. They watched as Adrian and Lena connected in a way they didn't expect, something honest, something profound. Lena sighed quietly, her voice trembling as she said she shouldn't have come. That maybe this whole thing was a mistake. That people like her weren't meant for moments like these. Adrian shook his head slowly and spoke words that silenced every corner of the restaurant. He told her she was more than enough. That appearance never defined worth. That courage like hers was rare, and kindness like hers was powerful. He said he was honored, not embarrassed, to be sitting with her. And he meant it with every fiber of his being. The boys lowered their eyes. The smirks disappeared. And for the first time that day, Lena believed someone saw her, not her size, not her flaws, but her soul. They finished lunch without hurry, savoring each moment, each story, each gentle breath of hope returning to their lives. When they finally stood to leave, Adrian walked beside her, not behind, not ahead, but beside her, like she deserved. As they stepped outside, he asked if he could see her again. Her eyes widened in disbelief before softening into an emotional smile. She nodded, unable to speak. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more life-changing stories to the world. Before we end, Red Heart special request, tell us in the comments, do you believe everyone deserves a chance at real love, no matter what they look like? Thank you for watching.